Hello. Today we're going to look at using Hapla 7mm foamer felt to create a pad over this area here on the second toe, over the proximal interphalangeal joint or over the distal interphalangeal joint, where we've either enucleated a corn or reduced callus. Perhaps there's some hammering, perhaps there's some retraction there, and those lesions have arisen. We've removed those lesions, but now we're going to put a pad on there to both reduce the pressure to that area and also provide a cushioning lid to the area just for a couple of days, also while we intervene in other therapeutic ways. So let's take some of this 7mm foamer felt. Okay, put that down there. And for this pad, which is quite small, but the arrangement of the foam and the felt is very useful here, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut into the felt to create our aperture, but we're leaving a foam lid over the top to provide that cushioning where footwear accordingly has pressed on that area. So let's cut out ourselves a little piece of this foamer felt first. Put that to one side. So this is quite large, but this pad is going to be shaped into a teardrop shape or an egg shape, where the convexity at one end is larger than the convexity at the other. And it's just going to sit over the digit, obviously, but not over the nail plate. So cutting that shape out, so we're left then with this sort of teardrop shape. Now, with the wider portion at the back and the narrow portion at the front, we're going to then just find out the area that we need to make our cavity directly over then, which is signified by the red dot here, the lesion, so probably central about there. And then with the sharper part of our scissor, just pierce in slightly through the felt. Obviously, we don't want to go all the way through, so your finger will feel a slight bulge as the point pushes into the foam. But as soon as you've pierced into the felt, just a fraction with the point of your scissor, then immediately lay down parallel to the paper surface and insert just a small way the point of your scissor. As soon as you've done that, start to cut. Start to make a light aperture in the paper and in the felt portion of this foamer felt. This small hole will serve as a pilot hole, so you know that you're approximately in the correct area. Obviously, out comes the paper and some of the felt, and we can tease out the felt as well, leaving a base, although it will become more apparent as I make the hole larger, a nice pink base, so we know we're just touching the surface of the foam. But as I say, when I cut the hole larger, we'll be able to see that more clearly. At this point then, lay it back on the toe to see if we're in the right area. So is the aperture in the right area of the pad? Yep, that's correct. Good. So now, make the hole larger, make the aperture larger. So we do that again by inserting this point of the scissor parallel to the paper, just underneath the felt, and making our hole a larger diameter. So around we go. We want this aperture to be larger than the lesion site. We want that because we want to make sure the shoulders of the aperture then basically follow the upward contour of the lesion site, which often is apparent in these kind of lesions. Okay, so that hole will probably be large enough now. And you can just see some wispy pieces of felt, tease them away. And now the foam lid is more apparent underneath. So we've got a 5mm foam lid and a 2mm aperture. Okay, let's bevel round this pad now so it hugs into the lateral and medial aspects of the toe. So just bevel into the foam. Bevel down as far as the felt. Okay, just off at the end as well. Peel off the paper back. Now we can see more clearly the foam base in the aperture of the felt as we remove the paper back. So we only want to really go as deep as the felt and not really into the foam. Okay, let's apply this pad now. So centering the hole over the aperture over the lesion site, and the pad then just behind or proximal to the nail plate. Just now curve the shoulders of the pad over the medial and lateral aspects of the toe, and obviously just slightly proximal to the toe too. So we have a continuous surface over the top, and that lesion site is surrounded by a slight aperture to reduce the forces that go on there. Now, in order to secure this pad to the toe, we're just going to use a little bit of Hapla band here. This Hapla band has a slight stretch on it, which is really, really useful in this instance. It just helps us to hug into that toe. So we're just going to curve the proximal portion of our tape here. Let's put that on there. So that sits behind the tape just to secure it to the skin. Shorten that, it's a little long. And then we're going to just cut into the tape here, probably about halfway down. Those two shoulders then will hold the shoulders of the pad down. Just round off those edges too. Stop being grabbed on hosiery. So now peeling the paper back off the Hapla band. Just lay it down over the top of the pad with the skin then receiving a major portion of the tape over the pad itself. Taking the lateral portion, just put a gentle stretch on it and then curl it round the lateral portion of the toe and over the portion of the pad. So that's the lateral side secure, and then with the medial side, just lift that slightly, and then just lay this down under a light stretch on that medial side as well, just to secure it down. And there we have then, I mean, a further retentive strap could be placed over the front if you wish. And that then is a cushioning and apertured pad to offload the pressure to an area either distal or proximal interphalangeal joint where there's been pressure changes or pressure reactions from the skin from primarily footwear.